Welcome to the Deep Dive. Thinking about travel, maybe somewhere different, beyond the usual spots. We're looking at a place today that promises exactly that. A real hidden gem, you might say. We're diving into Chad in North Central Africa. Our source material calls it Africa's undiscovered travel gem. Our mission: to explore why it's seen as this untamed, authentic, really immersive place for the adventurous traveler. What's actually there? And everything we discuss comes from a pretty comprehensive guide focused on tourism and Chad attractions, practical stuff, the whole picture. So let's start there, Chad. Often overlooked, right? But the guide really talks up its authenticity and raw natural allure. What makes it stand out? Why isn't it just another stop?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the key is the contrasts. Extreme contrasts. You've got these huge, vast deserts, and then suddenly lush wetlands, parks just packed with wildlife, and ancient rock art, thousands of years old. Plus, really vibrant local traditions that just feels, different. Less packaged than mainstream tourism. It's ideal if you're into ecotourism or want genuine cultural immersion or just pure exploration. And that heritage, it goes back millennia. I think camel rides, amazing bird watching in places few people go, really unique stuff.
Okay, that paints quite a picture. So let's unpack this. Where exactly can we experience this? What are the must-see spots the guide highlights?
Well, right at the top has to be the Ennedi Plateau, or Ennedi Massif. You'll hear it called both. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They call it the Sahara's Grand Canyon.
Sahara's Grand Canyon. Okay, intriguing.
Yeah, imagine this huge sandstone maze, natural arches, rock towers. It's been shaped by wind and time. And get this, prehistoric cave paintings. Really ancient. So you can go rock climbing, trekking, find that old art, even camp out under those amazing Sahara stars.
And deep inside this Ennedi Plateau, the guide mentions something called Geltadarki, calls it a sacred desert oasis. Sacred. Yeah. What makes an oasis sacred?
That's a great point. It's more than just water. Geltadarki unbelievably has this hidden colony of West African crocodiles.
Crocodiles in the Sahara. Seriously.
Right there in this oasis. Plus, the canyon views around it are stunning. You can do scenic hikes, spot other wildlife surprisingly, and meet local nomads who still rely on it. It has this deep significance.
Wow. Okay. From ancient deserts to conservation. Zakuma National Park. The guide calls it a thriving sanctuary, a conservation success story. Mm-hmm. That sounds promising, especially given challenges elsewhere. What's the story there?
It really is a testament to hard work. The guide points to really effective anti-poaching strategies combined with significant community engagement. That combo seems key.
Right. Getting the local communities involved.
Exactly. And it's worked. Wildlife populations have recovered dramatically. You'll find elephants, lions, giraffes, lots of antelope types, and believe it or not, over 300 bird species.
300? That's incredible.
It's genuinely one of Africa's most vibrant wildlife spots now. Especially during the dry season, say November through April. That's prime time.
And what can you do there? Standard safari stuff.
Yep. Classic game drives, but also specialized birdwatching safaris. And there are some good eco lodges you can stay at, designed to be low impact.
Okay. Deserts, parks. Mm-hmm. Now, Lake Chad used to be huge, one of Africa's biggest lakes. What's its significance today, especially since it changes so much?
Good question. Even though it's shrunk, it's still massively important. It's this dynamic ecosystem shared by 4 different countries. So for nature lovers, especially bird watchers, it's fantastic. It's a critical stop for migratory birds.
Right.
Activities. You can take boat rides, obviously do a lot of bird spotting, and visit the fishing villages along the shores. That gives you a real insight into local life, how people adapt and live with the lake.
And switching gears a bit, what about the city experience, the capital, N'Djamena, described as a melting pot of cultures? What's the vibe? What did you check out?
N'Djamena is where you feel the modern pulse of Chad. Absolutely. The guide highlights the market's Central Market especially. Great for handmade crafts, just soaking up the atmosphere.
I love a good market.
Definitely. And the food. You've got to try local dishes like gerade de boeuf, it's a beef shank dish, or the traditional millet porridge. Very authentic. For history and culture, the National Museum of Chad is a must. Really fascinating stuff in there. Plus, you can explore places like Avenue Charles de Gaulle, see some of the local mosques. It gives you a good sense of the city.
This all sounds incredible, a real mix. So for anyone listening thinking, okay, I'm seriously considering this, let's get practical. What are the first steps? Visas. Yeah. And when's the best time to actually go?
Right. Logistics. First off, visas. Yes, most people will need one. And the strong advice is apply well in advance. Don't leave it late. Go through your local Chadian embassy or consulate. Currency is the Central African CFA, franc code is XAF. And languages, officially, it's French and Arabic. But, important note, there are loads of local dialects spoken all over.
Good to know. And timing. You mentioned different climate zones.
Yeah, Chad's big. You've got desert up north, semi-arid Sahel in the middle, and more tropical down south.
So for those safaris in Zakuma or exploring Ennedi, what's the window?
The best season is definitely November to April. That's the dry season for most key areas. Skies are generally clear, easier travel, and wildlife tends to gather near water sources, which helps for viewing.
Makes sense. And when should you maybe avoid?
If you're not keen on rain or potentially muddy roads, particularly in the south, then maybe avoid June to September. That's the main rainy season there.
Okay, got it. What about health? Anything critical travelers need to sort out? Vaccinations.
Yes, definitely. Yellow fever vaccination isn't just recommended, it's mandatory for entry. You'll need proof.
Right, mandatory. Good to stress that.
And malaria is present, so taking malaria prophylaxis, preventative medication is highly recommended. Talk to your doctor about that well before you go.
And getting around once you're there, can you just hop on a bus?
Probably not the best idea for long distances or remote areas. Public transport is limited outside cities. The guide really advises renting a vehicle, specifically a 4x4. Or even better, hire a local guide with a vehicle. Especially if you're heading into the desert like Ennedi. You need someone who knows the terrain.
Right, safety and practicality first.
Yeah.
Now packing. Obviously the basics for hot weather. But anything specific for Chad's extremes, the guide flags as essential. Things people might forget.
Good point. Beyond the usual light clothes, hats, sunglasses, high SPF sunscreen, sturdy hiking shoes are a must. Make sure they're broken in before you go. The terrain varies a lot.
Okay, sturdy shoes. Check.
Binoculars. Absolutely essential for Zakuma and Lake Chad. You'll miss so much wildlife without them. And for remote areas, water purification tablets or a filter bottle. A reliable power bank because charging opportunities can be scarce. Universal travel adapters.
Physical stuff.
And always your personal medications plus a decent first aid kit. Don't skimp on that.
Solid advice. Now, for the fun part. Capturing those memories. Any specific spots the guide mentions that are just incredibly photogenic, real wow moments?
Oh, absolutely. For sheer natural spectacle, the Aloba Arch and the Ennedi, these huge natural arches are just breathtaking. Wildlife shots from Zakuma, obviously. Imagine getting a great shot of elephants or lions there. Also, the traditional Sahelian huts you see in villages, they make for really evocative photos showing local life. Sunsets over Lake Chad, apparently they're often just stunningly golden. And just the Sahara itself, the dunes, the rock formations, endless photo ops for that epic adventure feel.
Sounds amazing. And if someone is inspired, ready to book, the source mentions a global travel booking platform can help. What does it say this platform offers? How does it simplify things?
Yeah, the platform described basically gives you global access. You can search and compare flights, hotels, car rentals from, all the major providers worldwide. The main selling point seems to be comparing prices to find discounts. Makes sense. It also aims for simple, secure booking you can do from anywhere, 24/7 access, which is handy across time zones. And crucially, it supports multiple languages and currencies. So it tries to make planning a trip to somewhere like Chad less daunting for international travelers.
It certainly sounds like Chad holds on to that title, one of Africa's most awe-inspiring, least explored places. A real adventure.
It really does. Based on this guide, it's not just a trip, it's an experience. Surreal landscapes, that incredible biodiversity bouncing back, those deep-rooted traditions. It kind of forces you to rethink what adventure travel even means,
Yeah. So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. In a world that feels increasingly mapped out and reviewed, what's the real value in seeking out places like Chad, places still truly undiscovered in a way? And maybe more personally, what do we find out about ourselves when we step into that kind of raw, untamed beauty?
Yeah.
Something to think about.